Iriashiata soeata ariashia su tuturiata sa. Hello, lovely souls. I'm delighted to be bringing you this month's transmission and messages. So I'm going to be sharing 5 themes with you and sharing the messages that came through for the month first, and then end that with a short and lovely transmission, maybe to help integrate some of those messages, maybe to activate, whatever it is for you to receive. I'd also like to introduce to you a new offering, my Dragon Song Circle, and so I'll be telling you more about that at the end as well. Wow, so what are we feeling already in April? Now, I've certainly been feeling the eclipse portal and all that's arising in this time. And one of the messages that actually have been quite consistent, and I've actually also been hearing from others, is the rise of Lightworkers. But I want to give it a spin and say that the first message is the rise of the new Lightworker. And what I mean by that is often we associate thinking about Lightworkers as healers, as those who are already working as a practitioner of some sort. Or at least, let me speak for myself, that I used to think that Lightworkers are that. But I feel that as the energies and frequencies of Earth are uplifting, people are, in fact, awakening to more awareness of themselves, of the surroundings, of their greater mission, maybe. I feel like the new Lightworker is about living from the heart and really devoted to helping everyone to rise to the light, but in their own unique way. Lightworkers now are all those who are in service to helping humanity, to uplift humanity. And so you do not need to limit the thoughts and thinking that Lightworkers are necessarily healers or practitioners or coaches or whatever. If you feel devoted to that mission of helping humanity rise, being part of the ascension journey, even if you're just committed to working on yourself for the moment, if you're interested in, devoted to, committed to helping and assisting those around you, and therefore all of humanity, to rise and live and really be from that heart-centered place, I feel like these are the new Lightworkers. Do not feel that your role is any less important. Every frequency and every expression of those who are now able to be and live from their heart center, that is that currency, that is that heart currency, and what's needed now to bring more light onto the world. So the rise of the awareness of the new Lightworker, or just the acceptance that you are that. You are the light, you are the luminary, and all of our unique frequencies and the ways that we go about to inspire, to share, to teach others to live from the heart, these are going to be really, really important now. Changing up our thoughts again. I can see a beautiful rainbow in my video right now. It's like we are the rainbow children and all our expressions of that one light. All right. The second message I have for you is also a theme that's been very much present for me and in my ongoing work right now. In quite a few of the themes of my in-person workshops the last few months, it has been about ancestral healing. And there's going to be a drum making workshop I have at the end of April, and it's very much, again, ancestral work. I had a big healing just a couple of days ago, as I'm always in some kind of work for myself as well, and it's ancestral healing. And so the message I want to bring is that you are your ancestor. So think about that, feel that for a second. What belief systems does that bring up for you? Do you feel that time is linear and ancestors are those of our past? Do you right away think of ancestors as those in your blood lineage, in your family line? Right? So even our viewpoints of what is ancestry And how is it possible? What belief systems do I have, or do I need to be more open to? How is it possible that we are our own ancestors? Now, I want to tell you a funny story of when I was first exposed to metaphysical teachings. I think I was in hypnotherapy school and learning a little bit more about the subconscious mind. And the teacher talked about different views of timelines, or at least now I'm paraphrasing. You know, is time really as linear as we think it is? Is the past really the past and the future really the future? And so there was this concept that he brought up then, which was that the past, the present, the future is all happening in the here and now. And at that time, I couldn't comprehend that. I couldn't understand that. And of course, it took years to really feel what happens when the past is actually happening right now, right? Think about traumas, or maybe if you worked with past life energies. But if the past is also possible to affect you now, then why isn't the future also there? But we don't easily recognize it? Okay, so that blew my mind away. And I really had to examine, what is it that I believe about time? What is it that I believe about timelines and the metaphysical world that allowed that new concept to be mind-blowing and not easy to digest? And so in sharing that, I invite you to think about the same. What if all these aspects of us, whether we see them in past lives or the future self, or maybe even our higher self, what if all these expressions that we might perceive as timelines are actually all happening? And I know this concept isn't new. It's all happening at the same time. And so the future self is also you, and the past self is also you. And so to say that you are your ancestor, if we were to look at things in a linear time, then that past version of me is an ancestor to me. But today, my present self would also be an ancestor to my future self. Now, if that's all a bit convoluted to share, I think what's important is maybe opening your awareness, if you haven't thought about it in this way, that maybe time is a construct, and that the only moment you really experience is in the here and now, is in the present moment. And when working with ancestry, to have this openness to think about, what about my human ancestry? What about my spiritual lineage? What about all these aspects of self that I have not thought about that could be ancestors? So this whole theme of exploring ancestral work, ancestral healing, your relationship with the ancestors, you know, I shared those in-person workshops not too long ago, and there were a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of comments that didn't understand that it isn't just about working with our ancestors literally in our, blood lineage that have passed and gone. And there were a lot of rude comments to say, oh, we think that our ancestors who hadn't healed themselves are going to come now and heal us. And of course, the answer is no to that. But if we are in the here and now, and this is the only ever moment that we are in, I do believe, and I have felt what it feels like to do healing work on self and have that effect ripple out to all the timelines, including probably the ancestry that we haven't even connected to. So I feel like this message really is to invite you to think about ancestry, to think about what we can be more open to and what our constructs of time are. Maybe not to be bound by that. And that leads quite nicely into the third message, which is multifaceted you, multifaceted truths. If we are possible to be all of these different versions of us, again, what can we examine to see that that guide that we had connected to, or that dragon, or this multi-dimensional being, are they really outside of you? Or are they actually reflecting back to you an aspect of yourself? And I see the image that was shown to me this morning. It was a beautiful diamond. I think it was more of a diamond shape, but then it went into like disco ball. And I think what it was really showing me is just how many facets are actually needed. Like, you know, the sharp cuts on the surface, like a facet of a diamond, you know, like a stone that you're cutting. How many facets are actually needed to be cut so that then it has that round, you know, round disco ball shape. And that each part of it is a slightly different angle, a slightly different perspective. And of course, if we haven't been aware of that facet of ourselves, how can we even claim that truth? It is beyond us. It is outside of us. When I first started connecting with dragons, when I first started to maybe have some awareness of star seeds or galactic beings or just beings that weren't very earthly, I did get a sense that they were outside of me. They were outside of me. My dragon guide is there. I can see it, and it's a perception of it outside of me. That's how it was when I started working with guides. But actually, in my more recent integrations and my own healing and my own observation and my own lived experience of those connections, it was inviting dragon to be more of me, because I am dragon and dragon is me. But what parts of me were actually denying that truth? What parts of me were afraid of what that means? Of that vastness, that bigness, the responsibility maybe, and I'm using dragon as an example. What grief and pains and things have I done wrong in dragon, when I was dragon, when I was in the lives of being dragon? And I'm just sharing some of the feelings, energies that I had to work through before really being able to establish that heart-to-heart connection and really feel like I own that grief, I own that pain, I own that denial of self, I own that rejection of my own bigness. And it was hard. And then that quickly also translated to my view of, my galactic being as a guide. Well, actually, I felt and see that he's the one that flickers in and out of me as we merge and as we are one in whatever dimension. He's the one that actually brings me a lot of my channeled wisdom and guidance. Is he my future self? Is he my current self? Maybe those questions don't actually matter. What matters is that revelation to me, and I invite you to consider your relationship with your guides, with your beings. Are they just multifaceted aspects of yourself, and therefore more available truths can be there for you? And I'm not saying every guide and every being is going to be a version of you. I don't think that that's what I'm saying. But as I drop into exploring more of cosmic origins, discerning my relationship with each of these guides, there's going to be more information available to you the more that we open our mindset, our belief systems of what is it that I believe and hold on to right now that limits my experience, my relation with that being, with that dragon, with that whatever it is. And to explore the belief systems that might bind you or open you to new experiences, and therefore new truths and understandings of the world around us. And so I want to interject here and to say, well, what is hearing all of these messages? How do they help me as I carry on my day for the rest of the month? What do I do with these messages? And I felt that it's important to share that, look, there's going to be many messages you're going to hear. I'm probably not the only channel that you're listening to. I listen to a lot of forecasts for the month ahead, forecasts for the year. What does this eclipse mean? And what does this conjunction mean? And all of those things. Be careful not to have information overload and no inspired action. Okay, and I'm going to review that at the end, but inspired action is, what are you going to do with the information? Now, maybe not all of the 5 messages are for you, but whatever in the end ends up having the most prominent effect or inspiration for you, take that into your cycle of healing. Take that into your cycle of observation. Take that and journey with it for a month, for a week. We need to sit with energies. We need to sit with exploring themes and not just intake, and make it a whole cerebral experience where we just think a lot, because there's so many things to think about. I have such a long list of unread books and unseen videos, right? But we can only do and intake so much. We can only do and intake and integrate so much. And one of my important things that I like to share with people, and it's critical in this evolutionary journey, is the integration part. If we cannot embody the messages and we cannot embody the wisdom, then it's still floating out there. It's just still cerebral. It's out here, but it's not actually landed yet. Okay? So whatever the message is that resonates the most, take inspired action from it. All right. I have 2 more messages. Next is what lies beneath the surface. Sounds like a title for a movie. And yes, there is a lot of water themes arising right now. There is a lot of water themes. And in a lot of the journeys that I've been facilitating for people, I notice that it's about deep plunging into the center, into the well of the heart. Or I've seen lots of journeys where we become our mermaid self in that freedom and expressions of the mermaid, and we deep dive into the ocean to look for the treasure that's been lost. There's been a few guidances and journeys where people are really feeling themselves in that murky water and unsure of where they're going, swimming in the dark. Okay, and all of those really were aligned to a similar messaging of, we don't like to go into the water that's deep and murky. We don't like to not know what's there. And it is a bit more, I think that the water symbology is more alluding to all the things in our subconscious, that we don't know. And so that deep dive into the well of our emotions, into the well of our feelings, there's an invitation for you to be courageous in that. Because what lies beneath the surface isn't just monsters. It isn't just slimy things and things that will come attack you, because that's what we think, right? Probably what all the horror movies are instilling in our consciousness. But we can also dive into landscapes and worlds that we didn't know existed. Those are the gateways that the emotions and feelings can open you to. You can also deep dive into what I'm seeing is actually Atlantis right now, but it's the feeling of, it's the sense of all the worlds that you did not know that you can have access to, all the treasures that are actually also beneath the surface. But you have to trust that dive in. And I don't think that we're in a society that necessarily promotes us to unabashedly share our feelings and exactly what we think. There is a lot of fear about, I don't think what everyone else thinks. I am not like what everybody else is like. And if we're all, again, in that belief system and in that bubble, then we don't realize that the gateways and the keys out of it are our emotions and feelings. And so there really seems to be this prevalent theme now of reevaluating belief systems, and are they keeping you in the bubble or allowing you to expand? Is it just the tip of the iceberg that you're happy with? Or are you willing to say, I do not know what's beneath the surface, and I'm courageous and brave to go there? And that's going to be the key for a lot of you, asking the right questions. Asking the right questions of these messages, what's most important for me? Of these things that I have intentions or goals around, what do I want to explore? And now that so-and-so has said this, how does that make me feel, and what do I want to do about it? Do I really feel that there's some truth in that, or is that just a projection of that person? The ability for you to compassionately inquire with self, to continue to be observing and the observed, will give you more access, more depth to all that lies beneath the surface. The art of compassionate inquiry and asking questions. And so some form of tracking system, whether that's a person that you are connecting with and regularly sharing your soul journey, whether that's a container, a sacred space in a container that you're in and you're able to reflect these every week, whether it's your journal, okay? It's easy for us to think that we're doing things, but it's also easy to lose track, because that one golden message that you got one day could then finally make sense weeks, months, years later. All right. And the last message is just a very back to basics, actually. It's review your top 5 energies. Review your top 5 energies. So one of my coaches, I mean, this is not news, says the top 5 people in your life are the most influential. They're going to be the ones where you're wanting to be more like, or you're learning from them. And so if you're wanting to learn how to be a successful businesswoman, businessman, you want to have successful business person energy in your life. If you're wanting to be fit and train and be optimal, functional, healthy, yeah, you're probably going to want to be around people who also want the same thing. Maybe a personal trainer, a coach. So I'm saying top 5 energies and not limiting it only to top 5 people in your life. So if you look at your top 5 energies, whether they are positive, enhancing, expansive, or whether they're also potentially the other side of things, which is soul-sucking, energy draining, depleting of you, evaluate what the top 5 energies around you are right now. And to really, again, ask questions. Is this supporting my growth? Is this an energy I want? Do I want this in my top 5 or not? And so that may be areas in your life, like your career or work, or what work represents to you. That could be partner, your beloved, could be family energy. That could be just one situation in your life right now. The situation of, I don't know, your rent has increased 3x and you can't pay for it. Like, that situation has its own energy. So it's a good exercise to do periodically and to evaluate what are the top 5 energies that are influencing you right now. And is that where you want? Is that the choice of which top 5 energy you want to be influencing you? Okay, so it sounds like it's a back to basics, but it's important because sometimes we don't realize like how soul-sucking someone can be, or the job that you probably just do because you need to pay bills, but you don't enjoy. And so in this time of all these changes, the ability to keep being open to new ideas and new ways that are more prompts to invite you to shift direction or stay on course. There's lots of transition, activation, fast moving kind of energy, but it's going to be up to you of, are you aligned and centered in yourself when you make that jump, when you make that decision? Or do you feel like, pressured and just, and you get overwhelmed and you feel that there was no actual conscious decision making? So when we're able to take 10 steps back and be very involved in the decision making process, being aware, being conscious of what's actually arising, then you are fully in control of your destiny because you are co-creating it. All right, so let's just do a short transmission to help you to feel into all of those feels. And maybe one in particular will land for you. So just let the sounds to move in your field. And you might ask a simple question of, what inspired action do I commit to? Do I want to take this month? Or perhaps evaluating in your field, allow your eyes to close, whether it is currently in an expansive state, reaching out to the ends of the universe, claiming your destiny, claiming your birthrights, claiming all the pieces of who you are. Iriasheta owetiyasu. Ashi. And almost like a net that you cast out, like a message that you send out from your field to say all that I be and all that I was and all that I am. And to whatever degree that it is safe for me to activate and to reclaim those pieces of me. Eriantaria sueansa. Oriantuean soeasa. Oriantarua yashuya. And even if some of those pieces still struggle to be grounded, to be fully understood, maybe it's been lifetimes that you've been integrating that lesson, we ask that our all-knowing self to allow us to integrate, to align an optimal time, an optimal expression, and that we ask to have more of ourselves in our body to the degree that we feel safe. Warian tayan so weyashi anturian yante. Yarian se awan tuarian saya. Howeyan yorei so. And like opening little windows, little facets of self all around you, and may the pieces of energy to stream in, our reconnection to our star fire, our star aspects of self, and all the parts of us that we just call cosmic, galactic, out there. And all are actually part of this human experience, looking for the smoothest and fastest way, most efficient way for that light to express. Orientiasia akia quasi architecto we yantu we satariantu. Easheta arientia qua uretieta sua. Eantiaka o eshetasia. And just feel into your energy body. Even if those sounds feel weird, sound weird, what does it make you think of? What does it feel in the body? For a lot of our experiences, it's very much about sometimes keeping the human mind to the side, exploring that balance between trust and discernment, and really coming home to our feeling body. Irianta. All right, let's just ground a bit of that in. So deep roots into the ground. And if you feel like you're particularly connected to one single energy, one single spot in your field where energy is coming in, focus on that. Bring that one particular frequency into the body, through the channel, and down into the feet. Iriashia suwati yantuwe. Inhale, expand. Woo. that. Just visually drop that like a deep anchor into the core of the earth. Tie a beautiful bow. And so you may choose to sit with this energy a little bit later as well. But it felt like it was opening, just even if it's just one other door to some aspect of self, and bringing that in and really inviting you to feel. Where does that sound come in? Where do I feel it in my field? What do I think of? What are the themes? So therefore, what is it activating in me? Thank you so much for joining me every month for the monthly transmissions. Please share the messages if you feel that they resonate with you, or if they feel that they can be helpful for someone else. My newest offering, and I would love to extend to you an invitation, is the soft launch of my Dragon Song Circle. So a more intimate container. It will be in a Facebook group for the time being, where the transmissions will reside, just like these ones are currently either residing on my website or on YouTube. But where we come together and you can really receive some bespoke energies for the group that shows up, for their healing, for their integration. So I know that when I do these channeled recordings, it's the most prevalent, most emerging and important message to bring through, and I literally start getting them the day before or the day of the recording. But I feel really called to work with smaller groups of people as well, and to bring through the healing, the integration, the activations that are needed to really witness you to grow and evolve in your journey. So feel if that feels right for you. It's going to be probably twice a month that I'll do transmissions, a little bit different than how you've been seeing them. Probably, I would say it's more meditative, where you can listen to the messages with your earphones, doze off to them, receive them again and again, because your energy will then be part of that group. And I want you to be seeding your intentions, the dreams that you're working to manifest, what you're working on, what you're healing. So really putting our stories of transformation on the altar, and so that whatever transmissions come in and whatever group is called to be together is going to be able to receive those. So that is my Dragon Song Circle, and I'm inviting everyone for the soft launch investment of $11 per month, which is very little to invest in your healing journey. So if you're feeling like you're wanting to do some healing work with me or with others, and that healing is still a bit out of reach for you financially, join some group. Join my group. I would love to have you there, but join something where you can really feel like you're receiving some energies and getting that guidance that you need, because that's what we're here to do, guiding each and every one of us home to themselves, and we all have a role and a part to play in that. So I really hope to see you there. Have a beautiful day and a beautiful month. Travel gently. Much love.